Hello everyone, happy Friday, and I'm back. No, okay, so today what I'm working on is I'm actually setting up the code for WalkTheWeb to be able to accept plugins. So I'm setting up all the hooks. Basically, anywhere that you would want to put code, you'd be able to write it in your own scripts and your own code and pieces, and then it automatically looks for it from my code, so it can pull in and you can basically hook different functions into different places. Right now I'm in the process of working on JavaScripts, and so let me jump right in, give you a little background of what I've already done and where I'm at on it. So let's see here, go to a code page. And okay, yep, just a second. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so jumping right in and moving forward, let's see what we have here. First things first. In the code, what I have is this is the actual plugin that you're creating, basically. And what I'm using for an example is the multiplayer functionality. I'm pulling it out of the regular code and putting it in as a plugin, because not everybody's going to want to activate the multiplayer. You want to have some different controls on it. There will be people that create other plugins for multiplayer functionality and stuff later on, probably. I'm not delusional to think I'll be the only one coding on this for the rest of my life. So what I've done, though, is in this class, PHP class, I've created a knit hooks part, and then I'm writing these functions that allow you to drop different code in different pages. So a couple days ago, we did this part here for admin player. Well, actually, it's being able to drop something in the admin menu. So that is over here, which in this case, multiplayer. And we just dropped a settings page and just dumped some settings on the page so we could see what we're dealing with. And we'll be getting back to that one, I'm sure, as we get going on here. And then we have full page form, which is this actual page over here in the main part of the page. That was the description of this piece here. We defined what it was going to show and what the title of the page was going to be. And then moving forward from there, we have settings menu, which is down in the bottom right. If you click here, which, okay, let me move my own video because I'm telling you to look at something that's behind what I'm doing right now. So, okay, so when we come down here, being able to add items to this settings menu down here. So we have multiplayer settings, and we added that, and then we added this little form to that particular area. So we have add menu form, which is in that settings menu. And that's any menu form. That's why I didn't put the word settings in there, because it doesn't have to be related to settings. This is specifically add something to the settings menu. This is specifically just add the menu form. Now in your code in JavaScript or whatever, you can actually pop up these boxes on your own. The ID of the box is this right here, and all you have to do is basically tell it to show, which is display equals block, and style display equals block, and also style visibility equals visible. So you can bounce those back and forth as you need to. And then we have add script. This was a piece that I added in here last night, actually. I did some late night coding and all day coding, or whatever you want to call it. I let you name your script. It's just the ID of the script, which notice I do put a little description up here. And then this part here is the one for admin only. Otherwise, it's going to assume a 0 for everything else, which means show for everybody, including admin. But if you want it to be admin only, you have to put a 1 there. And then you have the script URL. We have this value right here. Notice that when I click on this settings multiplayer, right now I'm spitting those out to the page. So basically the plugin URL is the path all the way to my plugin. So I grab that value and I add on what relative path it is after that. So makes it pretty easy. You're able to just go, here's my player URL, here's my scripts, multiplayer, that's what I dropped in there, and actually I don't have to do it this way. I actually set it up so you can see it here. And in this directory, we don't have a whole lot of files. I kind of put some framework of different folders, but right now we're not even using most of them. But I have multiplayer, and that's being used under scripts. Kind of just put a format together, but of course, when you go to GitHub, if you don't attach it to a file, it doesn't put anything there. So, so those folders don't even go to GitHub anyway. But, okay, so we are moving forward. Once you get the script in there, which is this script right here, each one of these functions, there's different ones that I want to tie into particular code. And that's what I'm doing right now is I'm getting the hooks in different places in the JavaScript. For example, if you have worked with Babylon et al., then you know that there's a render loop, and this is when the scene renders. So what I did was I created a function that allows it, this is basically an array of, it's adding it to an array, and then based on that array, in different places in my code, I tell it to load the base different functions. These functions that are part of the plugins class, each one of these JavaScript functions take the array and actually repeat whatever function you tell it to run will be in this list of what executes here. So that means you don't have to worry about it. It will automatically put each one of these in here. I have get function script, and then there's some times where I need a return value for it to execute something or trigger something or know what it's doing. So we have return script function and we have get script functions. So this get script function gets any of them that have this particular name. So if you look in our code, all we have to do is find whichever one it is. As long as we've used that correct keyword here, it'll put this function into the right place in the code. Now there's different ones. We have render loop, we have render loop after the init, which the init is the initial loading of the scene and your avatar. So if you want something to happen after the avatar is loaded, then you use the render loop after init. And then it'll continue in the render loop. So it is part of the render loop. But I try to make it where the scene that you go to when you first get there loads as fast as possible. So that's why the render loop is concentrating on the original scene, getting everything going, and then we have this init telling it, okay, that part's done. Now what do you need it to do? What can you add at that point? So that's just reason for having both of those. And okay, so then from there, load user settings. This is a place that I check if there's any conditions I want to set. I can have cookies and read them. And basically this one happens. I want to show you when we go through the core, this one actually happens. Load user settings happens right after the init of the settings. Init of the settings takes care of, well, we load our environment, then we initialize any settings for the environment. The loading the init environment just means create the basics of it. Then init the settings actually engages whatever settings were for that particular community. So and the initial init environment is basically putting the sky of, let's say we have, let me close this project because we don't need to be in the project at the moment. When we start a scene, basically the sky is at noon and the ground is just this default texture, and that's it. The avatar is built. That is initting the scene. Okay. After that, what it does is it applies and decides, did you try to load a particular scene and what should it change? So example, if you change the ground texture, then now it loads the new ground texture. And then it sets the sky settings. It will load the water levels. Remember all those items that were part of a community scene, the landscape, that kind of stuff. Those are the things that it loads at that point. So then next is load user settings, which means grab anything with a variable like any cookies or anything that you may have, anything that you need to set before you actually take off with the scene. Actually, load init settings gets the settings for the scene. User, you have a chance because of cookies and stuff to change what those settings are or do whatever you need with them. Load user canvas. This is one layer of the canvas. It's in front of the actual Babylon canvas, and all clicks that go to it go right through it, so it's not set to actually receive anything. And then we finally have load scene. So you have some events that happen before the load scene, and then notice load user settings after the engine. That's another place that you can put things. So if you need to initialize your code after the fact, after the scene is actually built, then you would do it there. Okay, so what I'm doing in this plugin, though, is I'm actually creating a number of them. This particular one I remarked out because I don't need anything here. I just wanted to make sure that the plugin, you could put something there if you need. This particular plugin doesn't need anything right there. It needs it after the init. Load user settings. Then we have 3 different places. These kind of trigger at a certain point in time, and it's after the avatar is loaded and the setup mode is closed. So new user comes to the scene, they basically can pick their avatar. Once they've selected their avatar or logged on and select their avatar or whatever they've done, or if they've already logged on and already picked an avatar, when that setup, when basically the avatar, saved avatar is retrieved and it's loading on the screen, then these happen. So they're kind of I've given you 3 different places, but technically we could make those all one and just run the same function in all 3 of those places in the code, but it's after the setup mode closes, so I may merge those into one because notice, even in my case, I am basically activating the same exact function in each one of these places. So I don't know. I can keep them separate. That way we get more control, or I could even create a third one that happens on all 3 of them, so you don't need, well, then you got the chance of somebody running a code twice. But we'll see. I think leaving them separate this way gives you the most control, because then my avatar animations are loaded. Setup mode closed, which means they've already selected. Setup mode is when they select their avatar. So when they've selected their avatar and we close that, or save avatar retrieved, means it's going out, getting the avatar that you've already saved in the database, and it's pulling it back, and it's already completed retrieving it. Then that's when that one happens. These things, these conditions, just so you know, usually one of them happens. That's what it's designed to do. So either you're pulling back a saved avatar and it never went to setup mode, so you don't get setup mode closed, or you are loading up after the animation's loaded, which is actually after it actually saved the avatar and did whatever too. So there's different circumstances and conditions that get it to that particular point. So that process right here, activate multiplayer, actually is only happening once, even though I've got a scene and I'm trying to activate multiplayer. One of them is if you come in here and you say this and multiplayer's on, well, when you turn it off and when you turn it on, that triggers activating multiplayer if it hasn't been initialized. So things like that, but it checks to see if it's initialized when you do. So it won't run twice. The function to activate it may run twice, but it won't activate it twice because there's a condition in there that double checks that. So I just wanted you to have a couple different places you could drop code and have it load. And then finally, check action zone trigger. This one tells it to trigger doing an action zone, opposed to if you want to check the action zone yourself and decide what you want it to do based on the person walked into the action zone or not. So I'm going to add one more piece in there. Let me see, where is it going to be? We created this action zone trigger. I'm going to just do a find so that it drops me right at it. And the function is right here. So this is in our check action zones. What it does is it looks through all the action zones that are out there, which, reminder, hey, welcome aboard. So this one takes a look at all action zones that are out there, which are your load zones, your areas around your doors, your areas around sliding doors and swinging doors, and make things rotate, and they've got all these different things that do. Awesome, you started making a website. Cool. You know something, when you start playing around with it and everything else, we'll have to get you streaming, and I'll put you on the WalkTheWeb.tv, or, on my Twitch channel when I'm not on. But definitely, I'd auto-host you and stuff if you guys want to play around with the program, definitely. But okay, so check action zones basically is, I tell you what action zone it is. Have you ever streamed? But check action zones works with... okay, and basically, check action zones, what happens is... okay. Okay, so let's see. We've got okay. So action zones, like I said, are these different things, and we need to know if you're in it or if somebody else is in it. So basically, the biggest thing is about if I'm in the zone or if others are in the zone. We do some checks to see if they are and to trigger that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later offline, definitely. But yeah, play around with the program, and if you get comfortable enough with it and you want to actually build a building or something like that and have it display on my channel along with your channel, then hey, I'd be up for something like that. It's kind of cool. Other people using the program I wrote, that would be really cool. But if you're not comfortable with that, don't worry. I'm not pressuring you. I'm not that type of person. So, but okay, so. The action zones, we're testing to see if a person's in the action zone or if another avatar in a multiplayer scene is in an action zone. And then what happens is we decide what we want it to do or not do. Like, let's say you walk out of the action zone, you're no longer in it. I need to close a door, for example. So basically, these are the type of things that I'm triggering in this section. And I want to add another trigger in this place so that we can actually have anybody else write something that wants to check the action zones and make it do whatever they want it to do. So I'm going to take another block of this type of code. Actually, that's not the right one. Let me take a block of the other code. This one has a return script, which means that I'm returning a value back from it. This one doesn't need a return script. It just needs to execute whatever you're trying to do. So we're going to say plugins, and we'll call this check action zone. And then we're going to take this piece here, and we're going to put it... Okay, so we basically pull anything that. No worries, no worries. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. We got till Tuesday to recover. No. Okay, so what this one's doing is we're telling it here, and I'm going to place it. I'm going to place it after the piece that I control, just so that it happens here. And what we're going to do is WalkTheWeb.this function, and I'm going to pass it two values in case you like it. Oh, unlisted means that on your website, others won't see it on YouTube. So basically, it doesn't show up in any of the listings or anything like that. It's like if I recorded a video and I was teaching a class and I didn't want to publish that it's out there, I want people to pay for the class, I can have like a hidden video that isn't listed anywhere so that you can't get there by the search and different things, but I can give people that direct link or use it in my own classes and stuff when I teach it. So yeah, so that's what unlisted means. It's not much of anything else because you're really not doing anything else with it. Okay, and I'm going to pass three values that are available to everybody, which is, first of all, let's pass what the action zone is, because this will be the name of the zone, and you can manipulate from that. Yep. Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to take action zone, which is the name of the action zone that we're currently testing to see if we're in it or not. And then I'm going to give you the values for me in the zone. So if your own avatar is in the zone. And then finally, if others are in the zone. So we get a couple things that you can find out. You can decide how you want to do it in your code, but these are the 3 values that I'm going to pass with this particular trigger. Okay, we have here, and I'm going to put them right there. That will automatically write this to that place that we're doing it. Now I'm going to give it my high-tech naming standards of Z. Now, oh, paper making tutorials. Huh, that's pretty cool. What's the link? Do the link with some spaces in it or something. I think I can see it here. I think I can allow you to... I don't know. If I had time, I'd figure out how I can allow you to write links into the thing. So far, I think I should allow that because we haven't had anybody abusing anything like that. I guess it won't let me do it. Type in the name without the HTTP and all that stuff. See if it comes in. But yeah, no worries. I think it's just the feed itself, if it allows it to come through or not. Okay, let's see. And in here, we're check action zone, and I'm also going to pass these 3 values with that. Oh, that's script function. I don't have that ability there. Let's see what I want to do. No, actually, you just need to know that there's 3 variables that you can actually pull in with your actual function when you do it. Oh, no worries. I know how that is, but paper making tutorials, cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, so this one, check action zone, and we have in here, actually in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just basically create a dummy file just so you can see how to use that one, but it's not one that I need for this plugin at this time. So we will list it here and kind of give everybody an example what we have when you use it. You know what, I'm going to list this other one down here too because they're ones that I'm not using right now. Well, actually, let's put it up here because I want it to be with the other one that's related to it. And then this one will be check action zone. I like to copy and paste it so I don't screw up how I spelled it. Check action zone, exactly the same. I've had times where I spelled it wrong, but yet because I copied and pasted it still worked. So, and then this particular one, let's see, has variables available. I'm just going to put your function, and then at the end here, I'm just going to put variables available, and let you know that we are passing into this function this here. Okay. So we have the action zone name. We have if you're in the zone, and if other for multiplayer sections are in the zone. That one now runs there, and because I added it to the code right here, this will execute on every single instance it runs through there. Oh, I get you. Yeah, definitely. You know what? I found if you want to make some money at it, I found that you give them the basics, and if they want to do advanced classes and things like that, then you start going into tutorials that are paid and stuff. Because when people do the easy stuff, they get a sample of your work. Nobody to take a tutorial and pay for it, they want to see how you teach, if they like you, if they can relate to it, if they can learn anything from what you have to say. So when you give at least a taste of it and you give some type of the tutorial for free, or maybe even first 10 minutes of a hour-long tutorial or something, just to give them a taste to say, actually, this is exactly what I'm looking for, then they're more willing to pay for seeing the rest of it, or or getting other courses from you, or whatever you want to do. But yeah, so there's options. But yeah, just a helpful hint if it helps. Or ignore it completely if it doesn't. No worries. No worries with me. Oh, you know something? I think I put this in... Okay, so I put that in an area here. We have the action zone there. This is actually a great place to check it because you get to find out who's in and who's out of the zone. But there is another place we may need something, which could be... So I load the zone there, and then I only trigger this if it's not a load zone and it's not loaded, blah, 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 blah. That's unloading a zone. That's unloading a zone, so no problem there if it needs to be unloaded. Oh, that's all fine. That's the characteristics of taking care of zones and actually putting them in place or so. Well, if you put it out on iTunes, their favorite number seems to be 99 cents or something. But yeah, it just depends what it is. It depends. Like I said, you give them a little taste of it, and then they see where they're going to go with it. But yeah. Okay, so we have that plugin, we have that connection there, and what I'm in the process of doing is I'm really looking to see what variables am I using in here. Yeah, 50 cents is cool, definitely. Honestly, if they're willing to pay 50 cents, they're willing to pay 99 cents without any problem. It's the decision of putting in a credit card or not that ends up being the issue. So if they're willing to put in a credit card, $1 doesn't mean anything to them. They'll pay $1 for something. It's that decision, if they want to pay for it, that gets it to that point. So I would do 99 cents just because if they're willing to pay with credit card, 99 cents isn't a big deal. And if they paid by credit card, there's usually a credit card fee or something for the transfer, and you may not even make money at 50 cents because they can't get the money to you with credit card and not consume most of it by the charges. So keep that in mind. Just a little bit of stuff I've learned. But yeah, it could be an issue. Yeah, some of the credit card companies are going to charge you 20, 30 cents just to do the transaction. And by the time you do that, yeah, I think that's why 99 cents is so popular. If people are willing to pay, they'll pay it. Yeah. Okay, so this avatars thing, I know searching for avatars is not a great idea. Let's search for it this way. I think this is my... It's not showing that it's anywhere in the code on those pages, which means it's all local to this page, which if we change the folder we're looking in right now to... let's get in the right folder here. I have this sitting in my plugins folder, so let's go to here, content, plugins, multiplayer. Let's look in that folder, find all, and yes, that is all of them. So, good news, avatars as a namesake can be directly in this file because it's only being used. That's what I've been trying to do, is I've been trying to isolate the different values so that I get them in here and basically knock them out of the other places where they existed. So find in files, let me go back to that site, find all. I should find one setting, and that's exactly what it was. We can now remove that one from there, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to get the files out of there and move all, I'm isolating the multiplayer functionality and putting it all into the plugin. And as I do it, I'm creating hooks into the code at all the different places. Yeah. So basically I'm looking for any instances of stuff like this, and I'm bringing them in to be part of this here. And let's see, I have to replace all the ones on this page, and it's anywhere that I did this array, find, replace with this dot. I know it's kind of long-handed to do WTW multiplayer, but you know what? It's pretty self-explanatory. This is doing a replace just in this page, so we're going to hit them all. And now that should be good. I want to double check on different things that I use WTW on. Okay, things like get JSON, no problem at all. This is my avatar, which is the one that's created in the main part of the scene, so I don't have any problem doing that. And let's see, other than that, JSON and logs, that's all good. Display modes and queue. These are common things that we do in the main part of the scene. Main parent, add avatar. Yes, we add avatars. That's part of our default product that actually creates the avatar in its root system. Get main parent, dispose of something. Yeah, so far we're looking good. I'm just making sure that I didn't leave any references to outside stuff. That stuff's all fine. Okay, track ID. This is all part of my avatar and key pressed fields. That's another function we have that we can check. And in here, we're good on that. Chat queue. The chat queue I'm going to be moving next, so that's actually going to be part of this multiplayer thing, because you don't chat if you don't have more than one person in the scene, so we'll do a little bit of stuff with that too. Get JSON, let's see, receive chat text. So we're going to move the chat text next is what it's going to be. New avatar definition, that's all good to go. I'm just making sure we don't have any lingering things here that are part of the other code. Refresh last move events. That one may be one. Okay. And let me those are all good. Animations are all good because that's an avatar's animations. We're good on those movements. This code was designed to work on more than one machine, so we're good on these parts. Okay, we're good there. Set avatar sync, that looks like one that will be in this file or that we need to move. So avatar IDs, okay, there's a number of them. Let me get them one at a time. There's no way around doing that. And fresh last movements, copy that, find in files. Let's see, first of all, it is in the core in two different places and then in our constructor. Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, charge businesses to advertise as they become more popular. You get more money there anyway. So yeah, you'll get more people that way. And so if you have ads, it's kind of like going one path or the other. If you want to keep the ads off there or keep it low key, then you basically do it for, making money at it, charging the customer. If not, you do the ads and you get them to pay, but you just make them real popular and free. So yeah, it's kind of a balance between the two. Okay, so we have three places where this exists, and we're going to go check that out right now. This is part of Move Avatar. Okay, so we have a function in here in Move Avatar. Okay, so this particular one is on the move avatar process. So the avatar is deciding to move and has some different keystrokes that do it. So we're setting the avatar movement, notice the last movements, and then set avatar movement. Set avatar movement stays in here because it is this version of, it's moving my local avatar. So we're not going to go changing that function, but we are going to look at refresh last move events. That is... No, actually, we're okay. We can leave that in there. That's part of the main function because I'm using that for... Last move events is a section that we're bringing through into here. And so, yeah, so this one actually is part of the core. What happens is it's tracking the current my user, but I can also trigger this to tell it, hey, track some movements because another avatar moved. So that one actually stays here. We're good to go on that one. So that's good. Let's keep on trucking through here. And I know we saw some others down here. And animations, we're good on all those. Okay, radians, FPS. Yeah, when I started doing all the movements, I actually had to divide the animations running speeds by the frames per second to make sure that if they moved on your screen or my screen, they all moved relatively the same speed and got the same distance for the same effort of movement. So that was kind of a new learning experience for me. Okay, so set avatar sync. We're actually good with that. I know what that one is. And that belongs in this main page. Okay, setup mode, numeric. Okay, we're good on those. Avatar IDs, that's a setting if we want to see the other user avatars. That one is actually, toggle avatar IDs. Okay, that turns it off and on, and that actually is a function of the multiplayer. So we're going to move that code, and first I'm checking to see how difficult it's going to be. Avatars. Under basic avatars, name is visible. Oh, so I'm actually putting it in there. This particular one, the fact that it has a mold name on an avatar, is that something, is that the only place I'm doing it is those two lines? Yeah, actually we could put a plant there. That's actually a really good place for one, because if you want to add something, okay, how much of this do I want to do? That whole thing right here is creating the person's, that is right here is basically for multiplayer only. So if I pass a couple values, we could definitely check that. We can make some things there. Okay, so we have, we can actually make something in here, because what this does is it allows us to get the avatar when it's being created. So if I insert something at this point in time, that's actually kind of cool, because you can actually, you would have a lot of control there. Oh, I like the paper plane videos. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Doing both. You're going to attract two different groups of people. That's pretty cool stuff. Okay, let's see what we have here. And Okay, so I'm actually going to put a plug in here because I want this to be a function that gets passed into my code. So I'm going to go into the multiplayer code, and this one's going to be, we have toggle avatar IDs, and then what I need to do is we're going to create a function that will, that'll basically use them, show the avatar ID. So that's kind of cool. We'll move it to the multiplayer because you don't do that unless you're in multiplayer mode. So we're going to copy that to here, and now instead of toggle, this will be show avatar IDs, and we will work on that particular function here in a second. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that I don't have that anywhere else. Find in files. Nope, I don't. Good. And just making sure I'm not conflicting with anything. Okay, and let's see. Very cool, very cool. You'll have to send me a link to your YouTube channel so I can check it out after you've posted there. Yeah, definitely. I built tons of planes when I was a kid. That was one of my hobbies. Radio-controlled planes and all kinds of cool stuff. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm moving this into here. We're making a function for it. And then once we have the function, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to need the display name, and I'm going to need avatar name. Let me see, is there any other variables that I used in here? Display name, avatar name. I could decipher those based on where I get them. Yeah, cool deal. Let's see, when I get these values, display name is basically, where is it? Display name I can pull from here. Okay, so that could be part of my code. I don't think I need display name in anything else here. I don't think it was used. So I can actually pass, yeah, we can pass the bigger class and actually pull that into our code also. We'll make display name, we'll send the avatar def, which is actually all the variables. So let's take this piece here, and I'm going to copy that and drop it into this code here. And we're going to say avatar def comes through here. And avatar name, the definition is more the definition file for creating the avatar, while the avatar name is actually the mold name that it is attached to, and all the, you know, it's the parent most object of an avatar. So by having that, you have everything as a child underneath it. Just by knowing that, you can actually grab the whole thing. The avatar def, on the other hand, lets you pull any value that's used to create the avatar before the avatar actually exists. So, so this basically allows us to do some really cool stuff. This particular piece, I am going to kind of put this all together into one place, just so I've got what I'm working with in one place. It's going to be this section right here. And like I said, I didn't use display name before that, so I'm actually good with that. Okay. Okay, so that's the function right here that normally runs to show the IDs on the tops of everybody's heads when there's more than one person in a scene. So what I want to do is here, okay, so I'm trying to think the best way to do this. I need to give it actually two hooks. This one is, no, I don't need two hooks. Well, this is like a pre-avatar build, and then there's an avatar built. So, yeah, I know. Object animations, this is before object animations are read in. We could do it after that, just so you have the object animations as part of the diff also. That would probably be preload. Okay, so this is where I'm going to actually put it, because we don't need any of this stuff anywhere else. And we need to put it in right here, just so that we have different things that we can work with. But this is pre, hey, welcome back. And this part right here is actually going to be before the avatar is built, but it gives you the option if you need to change something in the definition, you could actually do, excuse me, some different pieces to it before it actually builds it. So this one, I'm going to actually pass the avatar def into it, which is the full definition file, and the name of the avatar you're building. And then coming back out of it, I'm going to retrieve that same avatar def. So if you make modifications to it, it can actually flow back and actually define what gets built. So this one's actually a pretty important one to creating avatars. Okay, so back to our plugins file. And we've got two pieces here. First piece is we are going to create, we're going to do one like this. Start it here, and it's going to be avatar before create. So it'll be, yeah, that makes sense to me. The file that we, oops, I didn't even need to scroll that. And the file we're going to call is this show avatar IDs. So I already know that's the function that I want here. And the values are going to be, I keep pushing the wrong button. Okay, let's see, we have this and this. Just because it's going in, let's see, I'll rename those two with a Z afterwards. Okay, so we're calling the function and we're going to, whoops, I keep picking the wrong page. It's this one, and I'm going to be passing in both of these values. I'll need to make those with a Z in front of it at some point in time here, but because I don't know where I'm getting that yet, I don't want to change it just yet. Okay, so before avatar create, and now I need in the plugins folder, let's create one that returns a value. Copy that, and we'll create it here. And plugins. Avatar before create, and we're going to pass those two values right here into it. There we go with that. And wait a minute, what did I put? Cool. That's very cool. Okay, so let's see. You know, this part here, passing that into there, I don't need to pass anything else in there. All I need to know is that it is the particular function that, oh, wait a minute, there is a value. I'm sorry. Let's see, we are going to actually pass in the avatar def. And the reason is because it's going to give us the avatar def back out based on what you return. We'll check. We're going to, this one doesn't need others in zone. Whatever avatar def comes in, as long as you don't make any changes to it, it will return right back out. And that's what we're expecting in or out. So it'll flow through unless you actually tell it to change the avatar def. That's a dangerous one. Yeah, buying stuff for the avatar, that'd be actually really cool. That would actually be cool, because then you can actually, create a plugin, do a couple things for free so people can get, like, hats for their avatar or whatever. And then when they, we can have some paid upgrades or whatever, and they can buy stuff. We can do one of two things. I was thinking about creating an in-game currency, so WalkTheWeb currency or something, and you can earn it by playing games or checking out websites or testing things or whatever you want to do. And then when you get them, then you can use those for what we would consider free items because you do it. Yeah, yeah, I'd like that. I'd like that. So with this plugin design and everything else, create it as a plugin, and we'll definitely hook that up. I'll demo it. I'll show people it. You can demo it, whatever. But we can definitely get that out there. That's a really cool idea. But definitely, yeah. And there's different ways we can work with these avatars, because when an avatar comes through, you've seen how I color them. I know I'm going to go off on a tangent for just a minute, since we can. But what I want to tell you is this. Oh, before I screw this up royally, let's just take this name here and finish that last thought, which is putting it right there so that I don't screw up that function. Okay, so the name of my store is actually just,
No, I
well,
can't say anything like that. I'll keep looking. Yeah.
well, it's WalkTheWeb. So it's WalkTheWeb store, or we also go with Webby store is actually cool, because Webby store is something I've been working with that it's a character I created for WalkTheWeb. It's a spider. It's a kind of a cool thing. Down below my screen, I have one picture of him up there, but and I have it on my pre-screen and stuff. But I actually have the animated character I created in Blender. So Webby store. That sounds perfect. Perfect. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so let's see. And here we have passing this in through here. Let's see. Well, when I do just 2 seconds here, when I go in here and I want to change my profile and I change my avatar, notice avatar colors. We actually have a number of predefined items per person that any one of these we could work out. Anytime. Believe me, anytime I could throw something in a scene and have it going and stuff. So we definitely have that stuff. On my WalkTheWeb.com site, which is the www site, I actually have a WordPress or a WooCommerce store. Right now, the only thing I have in there is basically a 3D glasses. So, but yeah. But these items here, what they do is each one of these are different objects that are part of the avatar, and I could get their exact location, and when you change something, like let's say it has a hat on, we could actually change that out, and we can actually go with another one. And if one doesn't have one, I could define where it sits by having an invisible piece in place. Then all we have to do is say, hey, you've got a hat, and we can actually switch which mesh gets placed on that particular thing. So for the coding side of how we could actually give their attire to their actual person, we could totally do that. So we'll have to play it. Yeah, you and I, we'll connect on that one. We'll make it work. I can definitely help you on whatever side I need to on my side. But definitely, that's actually a really cool idea. Okay, so jumping back in here, what I'm doing right now is we have this piece, and it's going to be based on passing these two values in. So let's go basic avatars, and it's going to be avatar def equals, and then wtw dot this plugin here. And basically, if they don't do anything, then it returns back in. So it's theirs to break, but it's not gonna, by default, that'll pass right through that and not change anything. No limitations. No limitations. So if you think of things, we can throw in. We've got animations. We have all kinds of cool stuff. So we can even do something where you can create your own avatar from scratch. I can even give the download file for some samples that they can use to mold and change up on their own. We got all kinds of options of things to do for that stuff. Instead of messing with the Webby store, I got an idea. Why don't we just make a unique store for avatar stuff, and we can drop it into different scenes just so people can see that store everywhere. But let's call it, you can call it whatever we want, but I'm thinking something on the lines of avatar gear or something like that. But I don't know, we can name it. We'll come up with some cool name or something. But basically, we can make a whole store that actually just has kind of things. Oh, you can't change the name now. No worries, no worries. Sorry about that. It's okay. Use what you're gonna. It's all cool to me. Don't worry. It's all good. But yeah, we can do some cool stuff, definitely. But yeah, all kinds of in-game things and different stuff. Okay, but I'm just thinking the avatar gear, the avatar. I don't know. We can think of a name. Um, you can leave it that for now until we decide exactly what you want it to be. Let's check out the store and name it afterwards based on what we're doing. Um, Avatar Pro? I don't know, something simple. I don't know. So, okay, so let's see. And okay, so avatars before create, we pass this in here. We return back the avatar definition. So if there's any changes that needs to do, it can actually define it in the definition, and then it gets passed into this particular section. I already have a Walk the Web store, so I don't want to tie it into that one at this time until we decide what we're going to do with it and everything else. So yeah, I have plans for that name. Webby is more the animation side of things and bringing it into the scenes and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd lean more towards that direction. Okay.
That sounds good.
Walk the Web Cosmetics. What's that? What was it?
Oh, okay. You said
Avatar Pro?
You said, but you like Walk the Web Cosmetics?
No. Well, I don't know. Something to think about. Cosmetics always implies, in America, it always implies female. So I know that it implies changing appearance and looks and things like that. So I see where you're going. But it would be something where a guy would look at it and go, no thanks. In America. It's just it's a probably more common language type of issue here. So when let's see. Let's try, yeah, Avatar Pro. Let's go with that. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, Avatar Pro kind of goes because then it works for all avatars everywhere. It's pretty much universal, and we can keep on growing with that direction. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So we have Avatar before create, and we'll look and see when we need to do the other one. But let's go back to here. What we ran into was the reason I decided to move this was because we have this avatar IDs, and it doesn't need to be on the main part of the page. So I'm moving pieces in here as we find them so that we can see exactly what they have. This is a menu option here, and that is here. Okay, so this one's based on, which we already have a plugin here. This one is actually the load user settings. So I can pull this stuff about the avatar IDs. Oh, multi-person. Multi-person is another one I'm going to run into, obviously. But here we have avatar IDs, and it's based off that name, and it does all this stuff. I can actually do this pretty easily. We're going to cut that. Hello. Is my computer not cooperating with me right now? There we go. And let's see, we're going to drop that into our multiplayer. Load user settings. See, I already have one already set. It's already in there. All I have to do is tell it to also load the IDs. So now that's in there. Okay, we have that one. Let's find in files. Did that get all of them? No, this right here. Avatar IDs on, avatar settings in the menu. This is a menu block for... I moved that. Oh, no worries. Yeah. Okay, so basically, As if you just joined us, just want to let you know we're working on different hooks into the code in different places. So I'm designing the use of creating plugins. And to do that, we're actually telling it in very easy language here. Let me back up. Like in my plugin, if I'm designing a plugin, I'm saying, hey, I need to add a JavaScript to execute within this section of the code. And by each one of these, we're defining different places that it's actually dropping, where we can put a function and pass certain values or get certain things back if it's necessary for what you're trying to do. And we can actually insert them into the code, and from here, the plugins page, we call that particular function that wraps all of those, and we drop this into the code in different places. So now what it allows us to do is it allows us to basically, within our plugin, I write some code and say, hey, these are user settings. I can go in and define, oh, I have user settings, and I'm going to tell them, put it in the load user settings section, and here's my function, and it will execute whatever we're doing there. So there's ways of getting the functions to execute in certain places, and basically it inserts your code into my code in very strategic places. So this allows us to create things, and so far we have things like render loop. We have render loop after it initializes, which means loads the initial scene. Then we have some things to do with the avatars when you're done selecting or loading your avatar, which gets you past the setup mode is what I call it. And then we have things like if you're checking the action zone and you want to be able to trigger when a door opens or when something happens, and you create your own custom things for that. So we have what can trigger it and what can just be testing something within that action zone cycle where it's checking the action zones. And now we have avatar before it gets created in case you want to change the definition file of what gets created. And then finally we can add one that will, and I'm adding them as I need them, so we will add others like after it gets created, being able to manipulate the finished avatar before it's completed. I mean, as it's completed. So right after it loads the avatar settings, then you can manipulate something in there. We'll figure that out here shortly, because it could trigger like if you're going to load some animations or change the animation pattern or whatever you want to do. There's going to be a couple different places. As you can see, we have a couple here, like my avatar animations are already loaded, so we have one that trips at the end of when it loads. So there's some different pieces in here. Okay, so the next one we're going after is this particular page. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think that's the one I'm using anymore. Select animation to edit, log in for more anime. Wait a minute, this is the full page. Oh, I get it. I know what I did here. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, so this particular page, this one is, let me show you, we're looking at this page, this display. So basically, avatar display name, we bring in this stuff. I'm trying to figure out why I have this part. Oh, that's not even the right thing. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking avatar IDs, but IDs on, that's a different piece. That's what it triggered on. Okay, so we were able to move this avatar ID flag. We're going to knock that out of there because it's no longer in that section. What I'm doing is I had multiplayer functionality built right into the actual code, and now I'm moving it to a plugin so that some people can choose to turn it on and others can choose not to. But now it's your choice, and so now I shouldn't find it anywhere in the main code, and I should only find it here, which I'm going to copy that and find. We're going to find each one of these. Okay, that one's different. Oh, actually, they're all going to be this way, so I'm going to do a find on that. And what I'm changing is we're making them in this class instead. So basically, I move them over. Okay, we're going to find the next ones right there. Set this class. Find next. And find next. Next. And basically this one is painting on the avatar IDs over the tops of their heads if they choose to show them. So basically okay, so we got all those. Now that's part of this function. And like I said, I'm in the middle of trying to make sure all the pieces that are part of this multiplayer thing have been pulled out and are being used specifically by here. And I'm leaving the ones behind that need to be in our other section. So like here we have multi-person setting. I'm guaranteeing that that's going to show up somewhere in my code here. Yeah, I figured it would. Did I already? Okay, so then that is a presetting, and it's part of the form, which is actually on the other code now. And it looks like there's another one that we want to move. Okay, so multi-person, and if you notice that in my code over here, I changed it to multiplayer instead of multi-person just for consistency. So this particular one, we have a cookie, and I have a feeling that avatar count. This whole piece here, I already know. This multi-person thing is something that we can move, and it's also part of this section that we've already defined as plugin settings. So that makes it easy. All we have to do is go down here to toggle avatars, toggle multiplayer. Oops, it's after those. And it is right here. So we have load user settings, and I'm going to drop that right here. So now we have the multiplayer, multi-person. See, that's even labeled wrong here now because I've already changed these all to multiplayer. So let me catch those real quick before I really screw things up. And here these all went to multiplayer, all lowercase. Copy that. The cookie was changed. It was just one of those cleanup things, trying to be consistent with my own naming. And finally, this piece here needs to be multiplayer now because we did move that to here. So those, and I believe that catches each one of those. Okay, we're good to go on that. So now that's not there, and let me just do the search one more time and make sure we got them all. And multi-person is no longer in here, which, yay, we got rid of that one. And multiplayer, which is up here, is right there, and we're using that one in the code now. Okay, so we cleaned that up a little bit, and let's see. So now we've gotten those items all in here, and all their functions that are related. I'm going to do a quick glance at this list and just see were there any other pieces that are specific. There's my avatar, which is cool. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I need to trigger on and check. Animation ratio. No, that has to do with local user frame rates and stuff. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so what I've done is I have completely isolated the multi-user functionality into here. And okay, so now let me just see if I've broken anything. The other part is next is that this is using the multiplayer stuff that automatically goes to my server. If this gets real popular and everybody takes off on it, and if they're not paying me anything for it on my server can't handle that many people. It can handle a lot, but not that many people. I don't want to go bogging it down and not get paid for it. But if we give everybody the ability to host their own multiplayer functionality right from their own server, and then offer a paid subscription that if they want to, or a paid fee that they can actually offload their multiplayer functionality to my server. That's kind of where I'm heading with that. So basically in this section, what I'm going to do now is we need to actually create the tables that we're going to be using and get them into place with this new plugin. So it will load with the plugin, check whatever's there, and it'll do all the necessary functionality. And then what'll happen is in this function itself, okay, finding files, I'm going to look in the plugin itself, and that's this one. And what I'm going to search for is 3D net and find all. And what I have is I have these 4 core files that run from the server, and they go to my server currently. Each one of these things do specific functions for tracking, for clearing an avatar that's left, for getting an avatar definition that has come into the scene, and also updating my own avatar when it goes to get the tracking information of other avatars. So there's a few processes here. There's 4 key files that it runs that it is directing to this place right now. It goes to my server. I'm going to offload all of that stuff back over to the original, to your server, based under this plugin so that you can work with it. You can, get the whole functionality of the plugin. Okay. And like I said, if you decide, hey, I need to offload that, I'm getting too much traffic on my site, or something like that, you can always pay for a very modest subscription. We'll keep the prices down. Don't worry. I'm not trying to scare or kill anybody. I'm just trying to pay for whatever services I have to start up on my side of it. Okay, so from here, let's see, we have these 4 different files. You know what? The next piece I want to create, and this is just another key component of this, is we're going to be working on moving over the tables, and we're also going to be working on creating these connect pages, because you're going to put the connect in your directory of your plugin, but we'll give it an alias so that it can actually pull the file based on its alias name in the connect folder of the actual site. So it'll be a virtual name under the connect file. Okay, so that way we can actually always, everything that comes out of the site as JSON will always be under the connect folder. That's the key. That's the whole way we're going to do this. Before I jump in on this part, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. I've had my coffee this morning, and I've, just need to stand up a few minutes and do a couple steps on the pedometer and everything. So my wife's laughing at me. I'm getting comfortable with my friends. No, just kidding. You know what? Okay, so I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Then I'm going to come back, and we're going to work on moving over the tables, and then we're going to continue working on this connect section. So be right back. 5 minutes. Okay, let's go back to some code page so we can see what I'm doing here. And the microphone's on. Hey, that's a good sign. Yeah. Yeah, that's my wife and my dog in that order. No, that's Leo. Okay, well, thank you for sticking with me, and I'm back. Okay, so let's get back into this. What we're going to do is I've actually created the tables already in a different, obviously, the other site, which is right here. So we're going to look in here and see. We have a couple different tables. I'm also going to be moving the chat, so we definitely will be wanting that at some point in time here too. So first things first, we have a couple different things. I'm actually tracking the user avatars, the colors, and the animations that they're doing so that it loads up into a central site and then it can pull and use whatever was loaded there. That way, if they're using an animation, for example, that's not on your server, it could be downloaded from another site or whatever else though. About code. Okay, yeah, no worries. No worries. Basically, this piece is what I'm tracking for being able to do the multiplayer stuff. So basically, we have a couple different tables. Okay, and we're going to jump in here. We're going to take this. And let's see, going to go over to SQL Editor and do a create statement. And this one we're going to put in this table here, and we're going to call it, just to match the other names for now, WalkTheWeb user avatars. Do I have anything that I don't need in there? Blah, 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 blah. That's all fine for now. We're going to start with that. If we have to change it, oh, it already exists. Oh, yep, okay, wait. That was the wrong name, so I'm glad it actually failed, because we need to get these to the correct name, which is actually multiplayer user avatars. That's the proper name for each one of these sections. And we're going to tell it to create that, which should refresh all. And we should have multiplayer user avatars. Okay, that's one table. I'm gonna move over the tables and then we'll just start working with them. So let's see, set this to SQL statement, create statement, bring the cursor over here so it knows to go into this table and that it's the default. That helps. I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna set this, and now we should have that table here. Okay, I'm going to do that again with the user animations. SQL create statement. Go over here and do it that way. Create that. And then what else? One more, I think. We have tracking. Oh, there's two more. We're going to do them all. Create statement. Do that. And we're going to make sure it's highlighted up here. And now we have, refresh that. We have those tables. And finally, the last one, chats. We're going to be doing that, moving the chat over here at some point too, just because it is a multiplayer functionality. Okay, welcome back. Create statement, go over here, and there. I'm going to write the code that actually drops those in there later on, but don't know at this moment about the ads. I'm a big person who does not like banner ads, but that's mostly for 3D browsing. We'll see about that. We can talk offline afterwards, but yeah. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I have these new tables. We've added them in here, and basically we are going to work with those tables. The part that I need to do is we're going to create these various pages that call this code. So we're going to create the connect pages now. So to start out that, I'm going to first, let's see, let's pick, well, let's just start at the top. We have update avatar. Sounds like as good as one as any. And two things. First thing is we'll go down to, where's my other code? You know what? I'm going to close that out for the moment. And we're going to bring this one open under connect and update avatar. This is the file that we're mimicking. But this format is not what we're using. So we're going to do some cleaning up of code and we're going to get it to do exactly what we need it to do. I don't even want to start from this. You know what? We're not going to start with this. We're going to start with a current connect page because we have the framework all in place to make this a lot easier than what it used to be. So we're going to go into the connect folder here. I've already opened up that page, so I'm going to shrink that back down so I don't get bouncing back and forth between the different sites. That's a good way for now. Yeah. Okay, so we're working on this and we get let's see, where are we at? I'm gonna pick building only because it's such a simple page and I can grab the format, copy that, and I'm gonna drop it on this page and we're gonna name this page first and then we're gonna start working with this page, telling it what we want it to be. So this page, first of all, we are going to put it in our plugins directory under connect. So I'm creating the page here. It's going to be called, what is this page? This is updateavatar.php. Okay, and we're going to save that here. So first thing we'll do is updateavatar.php. And I'm going to set that down here too. This is part of the connect stuff. And then we need to look up and find out, first of all, there are a bunch of values that I read in. So I'm going to create a number of rows here. This is basically my function that gets the values for us. So when I look on this page and I see this instance ID and then avatar ID and user ID and this and that and all these different pieces here, what I need, we're going to first bring them all over and then we're going to clean them up accordingly. Actually, I even know it's not instance ID that it's going to be there, so I don't even need to worry about that piece yet. User avatar. We're getting the framework in place to create this page. So we have a user ID. Object folder. Object file. And moving on through domain. And secure or not. Scaling. Some of the stuff we're going to be able to read in locally, so I'm not going to need every bit of what I'm pulling in right now because we are running this off our own local server by default when this is here. So, so we are going to be able to do a little bit of pulling in some of these values for us. I just wanted to get a basic start here. Okay. Okay, so we've gotten those. Now I need to see what it's actually going to send to me. Notice that I shortened these because the URL was going to be long. So I have IUDO. IUD. That's interesting. Okay, so we have IUD. O, and keep going. FMSX MSX should have a YZNP is that NREM N and then PA N P and A. Okay, so we have those values being read in. We're going to change them all to use the letter Z in front of them just for my normal naming standards, what I'm trying to be consistent on from here on forward. Oops. Okay. Okay, so that gets that far. Now the next piece is update avatar. And what we're doing is that is a stored procedure under this site. Okay, alter stored procedure. And this is what we're doing. So we're going to, we've read in all the values, so we already have all the values. We need to look to see if it's found, and then we're going to, based on the instance, and then if it's found, we basically do an update. If it's not found, then we do an insert. Okay, simple, straightforward stuff. So going into here, what we want to do is on our code, select select instance data, and we're going to be looking in. Here's our new table. For this, it's not just our table prefix. We've actually created some in our own plugin, and that would be not there. It would be okay. We called the value plugin path. What was I needing? Oh, prefix, sorry. Plugin prefix. So this would automatically give us the right prefix for every one of the table names. And so we will use that. And then after that, the only thing I need is, we're looking in, oh, what table was I looking in? Sorry. We're looking in user avatars. So, okay, in user avatars, where the instance ID equals the Z instance ID, and delete equals 0. I'm not even going to worry about deleted at this point, because if they're deleted, we still can revive it. If it's already been there, we don't need to recreate a new one. If the record's there for that instance, then we're going to call it and go. Okay, so that gives us the value, and then I'm going to, based on doing that, I want to check to see if the value exists. So we start with, is it instance ID that I'm working with? No, I don't want to change my instance ID. Oops, sorry. I'm looking to see that and if I found the instance ID. Okay, so in my code, we're going to put a local variable in here, z found, instance ID equals blank, and now we're going to check to see if we did find it. If it retrieved one, then we're going to note it equals 0. And we're going to bring back the instance ID. You know, the only thing I need in here is the instance ID, so we don't need to select everything. Let's just bring back an instance ID. And there we go for that part. Okay. Let's see. Save that. And now I have an instance ID, and now I need to know, am I updating it or am I, and that's all before the header. I can all do this before the header. So now if this found instance ID is blank or not, we need to know is not empty and is set. Then basically in this section, we're going to tell it that since we have an instance ID, now we're going to tell it that we it's going to, let me think. Now we, if it's not empty, then we're going to update the existing record. If it is empty, then we're going to do a whole new piece. This one we now do WTW connect because we're using that class. And in fact, we can do all the way to there. And we're going to basically put in a statement here. And we're going to do the same thing if it's an insert. So we're going to put a different statement in there. And for that statement, what we have is, it's easy enough to grab it from here since we already have all the fields we need. Update user avatars, where instance ID equals that. So we copy that into here. So if it's not empty and it's found, then we do this statement. And if it is, oops, sorry, didn't mean to go that way. Here we go, and this is the statement we do if we did find it, or didn't find it, so that we insert a new record into the table. And I'm going to drop that there for a moment, and we will Okay, now some of these values aren't going to be what it says there. We're going to be passing our own values. For example, if the user's logged in, we're going to use the logged in user. We're not going to use their passed in user variable. We don't like doing that. We like grabbing what the session allows us to have, because then we know for sure it either had a session and was logged in or they don't. And since that's all done server side, it's a little more protected than passing a variable. Okay, so in this area, what I need to do is, first of all, like I said, we're not going to grab the user ID, so I think I can negate the need for that one. Actually, I'm going to leave it in place, and the reason is because if we decide to switch off and run this from my server instead of yours, I'm still going to need that variable, so I don't really want to change the code on that level. I'm actually going to just change the path of where it goes and keep it the exact same so that nothing changes other than whose database you're storing it in and whose traffic gets, or whose server gets the traffic. So I'm going to keep that the same. We are going to pass this one, but we're not going to pass this one, which is the update user ID and stuff. So we'll kind of take care of both of those on this end of it. Okay, so, well, actually, we're fine. I'm going to pass it, but in your case, I'm not going to use it. Okay, so starting with user avatar ID, this is what we have. And I already know that certain ones here are variables and some are, oops, sorry. We're going to drop them in like this. Last IP address. I'm trying to give the, if you're the webmaster of your server, then I want to make sure that you have the information you need if you ever need to troubleshoot anything. So I'm being very careful to make sure I give you certain properties, certain things to check up on, like if it came from a certain IP address. Maybe later on we'll be writing things that block certain IP addresses as a security measure if there's a problem with somebody hitting your server. But that's why I'm leaving so many things open for stuff like that. Okay, we're getting these different pieces in place. And we have that. And the next one, domain name. We can actually pass the domain name that they came in under, which would probably be a better method than that. So let's do that. So domain is going to be we will put that domain name. I already know that variable. We'll double check it, but secure protocol, this should be coming through as secure HTTPS or not. So we will pass that directly in here. We actually know the protocol by this also. I'll think about, I want to check the format of that one before I go changing it over. So we're just going to drop it in this way. And for now, that will work just fine. Scaling, we're dropping that in. Those are numbers, so it's expecting a number. And we have some things to protect numbers to make sure that they give a valid value. So we'll do some stuff on that too. And scaling there, and this. And finally, let's see, display name. And we'll have to protect in case they put like a hyphen in, or a single quote in their display name and stuff. We'll have to do something with that. Privacy, I think, actually, I believe privacy is a number, not a letter. And last IP. Why do I have last IP here? And user IP there, and last IP here. Oh, they're going to two different places in the database. One is about storing where the user came from last, and where they're currently coming from when they're online looking at you right now. Cool. Okay, so then we have this user ID, which we're actually going to pull. And it's going to be from the connect object. Huh? And then we have the user ID down here, and we have one here, and that's the other one we're going to pass just so we know the difference between the two. And instance ID, we already know it's this right here. We're almost there. Bear with me. Bear with me. We're getting there. Instance ID here. And we have to give it one, so we'll create one in just a second. And that's why I created so much stuff with this. That's why I'm using this class, is because it's actually pretty cool the way it... user avatar ID. It's pretty cool the way we have certain functions in place, like to generate an instance ID, whatever we need to do. We have plenty of ways of doing it. That user ID, actually, that is the one I decided I'm going to pass. So let's go ahead and do that here. And if you just join us, we are cranking right along on doing this stuff. If you haven't followed me, make sure you do, because people that follow me earlier definitely are going to get special treatment when you need something, and it'll help prioritize the different things I have to do. So if you're creating a plugin and you need a certain functionality, then, you know, basically if you're in that early follow and friends list of mine, then I'm going to pay attention to you first. So I want to reward you for hanging out with me early and working through some of these early stage things that we're doing. And that's, you know, just like I said, just want to treat you well for being here and hanging out with me early. So as you know, at the bottom of your screen there, we also have the link to download the code. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can download the code at GitHub. And going through all these different pieces here, we're getting this in place. Okay. And we got the file here. Object file, we got our domain name, which we did this way last time. We may still play around with some of these and make sure that we're updating them using our best source of the data, because now we're passing them through this plugin, the actual class that we're using to use the connect area. So if we have things that are better than what gets passed from the other function, then we'll go ahead and transfer them over, because we want to use the most reliable source on everything that we do. So let's see, we have scaling XYZ. So scaling X, there's scaling Y and scaling Z. Okay, and display name. We're almost there, almost there. Copy that. Display name and privacy. And there we go with that. Okay, so after we've updated our own information into the scene, then what this section actually does is, I believe we're returning some values, and let's see. Oh, that actually doesn't return any values. What did I use in the original? Update avatar. Oh, this one's only updating things. This one actually isn't bringing back any data. Okay, so the next one is going to bring back data. So the one thing we want to check on this one would be, when we are logged on and going here, we should be able to write something to that particular table, and it should automatically update that particular information. So in response to that, I don't want it to be completely blank. Let's go ahead and basically give it a response that just says update. Let's just give it date and year, month, day. We're just going to have it return something just so that it does have a response, and it gives us something to see that it actually got that far on the page and executed. We're not going to do anything with it when it returns back. We'll already just assume that it worked and jump from there. So this page takes care of deciding that there's going to be, that somebody's browsing the site and they have the ability to update. So using that, the next piece we're going to do is the important part. We're going to set up the virtual part that allows the connect directory to have virtual names, that the files themselves are actually in a different place. To do that, first let's test this page and make sure it actually works. I'm going to make that as easy as possible by first coming in here, and we create this SURL, and I want to go in here. Oh, sorry, I don't want to get in the middle of the function. I want to be right before it, and I'm basically going to kick that out in the side profile here. I mean, in the console log. Use the proper terminology. No. Okay, so from here, okay, so that's going to kick us out the thing. What I want to know is, I want to know all the parameters that I'm getting with it, just so that we actually get the correct thing. Let's see if that code fires off from our current situation. Yes, it does. So this is, and the reason is because I do have it using a couple things. I want to make sure that when I browse this, where did it go? What did I do? Oh, I didn't have the whole thing. Oh, I copied the comment. Sorry, I went one line too far. We should get this, and notice it's an empty set, which is what I expected. We're not returning any files. That's what we expected to get. And from there, oh, hey, this, switching back and forth. For some reason, every once in a while I've done this to my screen. It takes a second for it to reconnect. Not sure what it's doing that for. I have my suspicions, but we'll get it here in a second. Come on back. Come on back. It's at, I'm on remote desktop, and for whatever reason, every once in a while it has a little trouble reconnecting to the remote desktop when I minimize it and go larger. Who would have known? It probably had to do with some display driver update or something I did recently. because it only started happening about a week ago. So okay, so I have the link. I know it pulled from there, and what I want to show you is that if I go to the 3D.net user avatars, select the rows, what's our instance number? Our instance ID is this one right there. So if I go into the table, whoops, yeah, where did I drop it? There we go, good, it came right back. Okay, where instance ID equals this thing, and oh, I camouflaged it. I'm sorry, let me check the value. I know what I did. When I call this thing, I'm actually doing I'm converting it. So that particular value, to double check what it is, I'm going to need to just kick that on the page here. So we'll just do this, and I'm just making sure we can write it to the console log. So I equals that, and now when I refresh the page, we'll know what instance I'm on. I don't know what instance I have. It's a number that if you don't have one, it automatically assigns you one. If you do have one, then it'll update as you go. I mean, it tries to keep the same one as long as it can so that it knows and recovers your exact instance. Otherwise, it'll write a new one. It has all kinds of cool properties and values and stuff that it can do with that. So let's go here. Now I think I overshot it, but that's fine. Okay, so let's bring that back, and notice what it did was it wrote in a path here. We have the user ID, we have an IP address that I'm browsing from, we have that, we have the domain name that it came from. Secure protocol is a 1, which means this domain is using secure. Okay, so we know what we're getting by doing this now. Secure protocol is that, let me check that field type, because if secure protocol is a text, that gives me an idea of what I can do. Where is secure protocol? Oh, it's a number. Okay, fine. Secure protocol is a 1 or a 0, so we're going to leave it the way it is. That's fine with me. We'll just decipher it. Okay, so knowing that and knowing what I brought back, so that's pointing at their site. So if I come in here and we change this to WalkTheWeb underscore domain URL plus, and then take this part off. And now, when I run this same file, we should be using our own version of it. Actually, no, because we're not in the connect directory yet. Sorry, that's a part I still have to decipher. So what I want to do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to update. We're secure. We are running 3D dot HTTP 3D .net is the name of the test site I'm running on. And instead of connect, I'm going to do content slash plugins slash WTW multiplayer, and then slash connect. Let's see if we get it. Nah, I missed the page altogether. Oh, 500. We have an error in the page. That's fine because we can track that down. So we have something I missed. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to go there. What I'm going to open is this server here. I have load balanced web servers, so basically there's one of two places that this page can show up, and we are going to check here. Temp directory. Oops, sorry. And here we go. Here's our log, and there's what we have. We have oh, that's a different line. Okay, that's a different piece we're going to check into. I want to make sure we find out why that one had a problem. This particular one, connect failed open stream, no such file or directory. require once on the connect code. Because I'm running it from the wrong folder path. That would explain it. Okay, we're not going to worry about that because we're not intending to run it in its natural location anyway. So I don't have any intention of leaving it there at the end, so I'm just going to jump ahead and move to the next piece I was planning on doing anyway, which is set up in this file. We're going to set up where it can do that. Line 1641, unexpected core, 1641. We're going to check this real quick because I just want to make sure we're not getting any errors in our core loading. So 1641. Okay, which we've moved that line. That's not even where the line is now, so that's an outdated piece. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so what we have is we've created this plugin, but of course that's not the natural file where it's actually going to execute from. So when something comes to our server, and it does not have a landing place, then what happens is it runs this WTW file. When it runs the WTW file, then what happens is, okay, we're going to see if we can't get these things in place, which is, we don't want to redirect. We're going to set up an alias. I'm going to have to do a little studying on this one. What the idea is this. When I check the host, what I'm actually doing, okay, that's all the values. This checks the paths to see what I'm doing. And notice in this section right here, I check to see if the path is certain predefined paths. If you come through with something that says connect, for example, then it knows that you're coming into this area, and basically it's not trying to load a community building or thing. So in this area right here, I can add code that says if it's equal to connect, then basically I can tell it how to handle it. But I got to do some studying offline because I've got to figure out how we actually alias a path to a different path when basically it could be on any server. Because if it's on a Windows server opposed to a Linux server or whatever, there's different ways to alias different paths. So I'm going to do a little bit of studying. I'm going to dig in on some code, and I'm going to come up with the way that this thing does it, that it should do it. So we're going to have to basically create the virtual file that it, or I'm going to have to do some homework because I need to figure out how to tell it if to alias for any server. Because I know on Windows it's going to be one way and on Linux it's going to be another. Right now we use, just so you see it, right now what I have is in the root of the site we use the htaccess file that says if the physical file isn't there, then go to index.php. But of course it preserves the path that you were trying to find. In the same way, if you're on a Windows server, it does exactly the same thing. It looks for the request file name if it's a file or directory, and if they're not found, then basically go to index.php. So we're doing the same thing. The idea is that once it gets there, it sends it to index page, which processes this stuff, and wrong page, which processes my file here, and then it's going to decide right here at this place, get domain info. It's going to decide, hey, it's a connect directory. We need to run the other file aliased as this name. So I need to, well, you know what? How I'm going to start doing this and looking for it in the first place is exactly this way. PHP alias URL to alias URL to another file, rewrote rules. Oh, let's see what they put here. Okay. Okay, that's, well, they're doing the rewrite rules, which we're not doing. We are Yeah, that's what I thought I was going to get into. I think there's going to be two different ways, and I may even have to detect what server you're on to know which way to do it. But that's not, that's not that hard to do. I don't want to redirect. I want to create the different pages. Now we're looking at something. Rewrite, or see, they're using rewrite, but can you dynamically create the rewrite on the fly in the code? Is that what they did here? Path. We check in a database. We find out what the real path is going to be. Path equals array filter explode path. No, that's not. They're just deciphering what they want to do. But see, that's the nt-access file. That's not going to do what I want to do. Actually, if everybody were to use a connect directory underneath their plugin, I could predict and put a rewrite rule that lets it automatically treat something of that level. I'm thinking. Because then if you just drop it in the folder, it would automatically work. You don't even have to alias it. You don't have to define it in your hooks. You don't have to do anything if I do it that way. Well, I guess I need to play around though and experiment. See, the thing is, it's going to be... Let me just take a look at the Windows version since this is sitting on a Windows server right now. I know, just by saying that statement, I probably disappointed half of you. No, but no, I've used both. I've put in both. This test server just happens to be that just because, just the way I created a place I had. That's what I'm using. But it's okay. It's okay. That wasn't an important statement. No. Okay, so what I have is I have rewrite rules, we have conditions, and then we go to a certain page. That's looking for everything. I think if I put... So if I put different... let's see, it's different conditions. Match URL. Okay, so the rule is this, wildcard. If it matches this, the condition here sends it to this action. If I'm not mistaken, you can add another condition, and then you can, or does it need to be, no, because the match isn't part of that one. The rule is that we can say, yeah, see, I'm not even sure how to type this in here to not break it. I'm going to study and I'm going to try both, because if I can preserve this and do it through the code, that's my first instinct, is to make it work there. But yeah, so so we want to cool. Cool.
Wow, pretty good.
Okay, so working in here. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to play around with that. When I come back on next time, I'm going to have some information about that, and I'm going to go continue on from there, because I don't want to tie you up sitting here watching me test out different things. And when what I really want to do is I want to decipher, I want to keep this where it is, so we keep that real simple, but then I want to decipher a way that we can do it in here so that we can use it for other things. So if you create something that's a connect, you can put it in there. We can kind of do different things with different pieces. Like if you create something that is part of the functions, or if you're if you're trying to, well, if you do a class, you do it in your plugin. I'll think about that. But there's some things I need to think about and test out before I decide exactly which direction I want to go on that. There's too many possibilities. Ideally, if I can come in here in code and I can tell it based on the URL, show this other page but keep the URL where it is, so we basically do a rewrite behind the scenes, then basically that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to give up on the idea of that, but let's see. Stack Overflow, PHP. Encode. Right, path. URL rewriting with PHP. Okay, let's see. PHP paste, some text, goes here, Bloom 51. So without, now see, I don't want to do that. Our PHP route, here we go. Let's see, what did they do? Show picture elements. Pass rest parameters to initial function. But see, that's a function of a page. But see, that's telling it to go to a function if we do that, which we've already done. So if there's a way to execute a page as a function, maybe that's what I'm looking on trying to do. They're setting up an array of which path to go to. Servers, turn that, we get this. Unicode. They're looking for their paths. See, I don't want to show everybody the other thing. I just want to basically do the masking. I want to show the other page while showing you the path to the one. I see what they did. So they did it as an include file from the original from their... that may have hope to it. By including the file that it needs to go to, but it's still not file. Well, it's doing the index page. The rewrite does the index page. That's fine. It does not update the path. I think it's onto it. I really think it's heading in the right direction here. So what it's looking like is basically include the code as an include file on your current page, and then you can execute it as part of the page that it just loaded. If that's the case, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, now in theory, I understand what they're trying to say. I'm going to give this guy some credit because I always like to credit whoever really got me in the right direction, a couple of them here. And they asked a good question. And on Stack Overflow, by the way, if you want to be a programmer and you really need to get on Stack Overflow if you aren't already. Great place to find things, but also you can credit other people with what you do. If it doesn't end up being your answer and you've got the same question, you can always post what you ended up doing, and it'll actually help. It helps other people find the answers. But this is like the core of where you find things and make it work. This is a really cool place to be to help and get things working. Okay, so that actually, I think so far, is our best bet for making this work. Okay, so that should that should wrap up that part of it. We're gonna play around with that some more, but I think what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to be doing some SQL to find out if it's in the table. Let's see. No, actually, I'm going to write a function that looks in your plugins and sees if you have a connect directory and if you put a file in it, and that's how I'm going to pull it. Ah, not for that website. Oh, sorry. Okay. For the website you're creating, yeah, go ahead and do that. That's all cool. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually, let's play around with this. I think we're very close, actually. For now, I'm going to just put, I'm going to try something. Okay, if I'm going to do the shorthand version of it, and then I'm going to enhance it later to do more. But if this, and let's see, oops, and content. No, it isn't going to be content. If it ended up on this page and it was going for the connect directory, then basically the file in the connect directory was not found. So I think just by saying connect, I'm already covered for that part. So if I go to if I go require once, and for now, I'm trying to think of, let's build the path. Content path dot blah, blah, blah. Plugins. Actually, it is going to be content path this way. Double plugins. WTW. WTW multi-user player, multiplayer, and then connect. And for now, what is the name of our connect file? It was, oops, sorry, don't want to scroll that page. I just need to move this over a little. It is update avatar PHP. Update avatar PHP. I'll decipher where these files are and stuff like that later in code, but I definitely want to give this a shot to see if I go there and I require once to include that path, then I should end up in the right place. That doesn't mean we're not going to error on that page because I still have that path issue with the class. But now I want to see if we go to connect that way. Okay, I think we found the page because otherwise 500 wouldn't have happened. So I think we found the page. Yes, we are getting closer. Yes, we are doing it. Okay, so, we have hope. Now, basically in the update avatar class, or in update avatar in this file, I have a class being used there. Let's go check that file. I already have it open. It's right here. And in this, no, it's wrong file. I'm sorry. We want to go to this file. Connect. We're loading connect file. we can do, oh no, that's part of the connect file. Does it work when we don't reference a particular file? Because it's got to go back a couple of directories and back over and all that kind of fun stuff. That's the connect file. Yeah, connect. What am I thinking? I got to make sure we're getting to the connect class. And I think that's what I'm doing. So okay, so
After I see it, I'm like, what are you talking about?
I was answering his question in the chat. Okay, so let's see here. That isn't going to work. I didn't think so. I don't think you can use absolute paths when you're doing require once. It's got to come from somewhere. So we're going to need to, you know what, for now, I know that I'm in, geez, that's not a great way to do that. You know what, actually, I don't need to do it this way. I know where to do it. We don't have to put that there. We can actually put that... we can actually put that here because we are telling it to use that file, then go into here. And then what I need to do is, this is going to be important. We should end after that. Is that how we do it? Or I'm sorry, it's exit. It's exit. The reason is because we don't want it to continue on our code once we've done that piece. Okay, so we should only load that piece of it. Nope, that isn't going to do it. Let me check the errors. Let's see what we're actually getting. Maybe there's something else I'm missing. Which obviously there is something else I'm missing. Let me just restate that statement. Oops. Don't click the same file or the same instance twice. Okay, so if I go into here, okay, undefined variable, W2W connect. Let's see. You know what? I got to clear this because I don't know which ones are coming in from what I'm doing right now. So we're going to delete that file, refresh the browser here. We should get a new instance, and now we should be dealing with exactly what we have. Okay, a session already has been started. Oh, connect file is trying to start another session. Oh, that would be one issue. And then this can't be called functions class there on line 812. Can't. I know, I'm trying not to mess up with the, yeah, I'm actually just trying not to mess up on the, I'm trying to make this work by looping it in on something else that's loaded from the beginning here. So what's happening is I don't want to break my current connect class for the plugins, and yet I want to run this file. So I'm not getting past this piece because of something that's in that connect class. The first one that's in there is it's starting a session. Okay, let's beat this down to a pulp. Okay, so PHP. Let's check if a session's already been started. If session status equals PHP session none, then session start. There we go. That is very useful because that'll take care of the first error we saw. And let's get into the WTW Connect class. Okay, it's in core functions, and here we go. Connect class. What I'm going to do is since we're overlapping, this one's running when the other one's already running. Shut down on there. Where is it running? Did I start it at the beginning of the file? No. Session _ start. Okay, fine. We have about 3 places where we say session start in this whole code. I'm just going to locate them real quick and, I'm looking at multiplayer, sorry. Find all. All 3 of these times that we tell it to start, once an iframe, once on, I'm going to tell it if the session isn't started to start it. That should fix all 3 of these. And there. Now we are only going to start one session and we won't get that error ever again. It's a good sign. And just to prove that, make sure we got past that one and see if that was even stopping our other thing. Sometimes when you fix one, it was a chain reaction to cause the other ones. I really doubt it in this case because of what we're trying to do, but okay, we're almost there. Next piece here, and we have, okay, so if I go to WTW Connect, look at line 814. We're in WTW Connect, line 814, which is right here. Oh, it's trying to tell it to init the class. Which is, of course, in the function. And I think the only part that it's missing then would be I think that's the only thing it's missing then, because we didn't tell it to run that class when it's already there. I thought this covered it, but it's no problem. Let's try that. We're seeing something different. It's a good sign. The first thing I'm going to check is, first of all, did we actually get anything in our user table? Nope, okay. I may have even had the prefix of that. When I created the table manually, I might not have had it. Okay, so let's see, let's continue on this. Okay, that got us past this step, initiated the class if it wasn't already, and it refreshes it if it was. That's not that big of an issue, and because I know what the init class has, it's not a big problem. So from here, let me just think this one out. Okay, so let's go into our actual piece that we're doing and let's see where we're getting in our actual file. Because I think the code error now is actually in the execution of this page more than it is a problem somewhere else. Oh, well, that would explain it. We did it on this, we gave it the table name, but we did not, I didn't do it there. I know I say we. I'm blaming you. Sorry. No, okay. There we go. Okay, so we add that in there, and let's see if it gets past that part. No, it didn't give us the little tag. So let's check for errors again, because I think we're going to be generating an error. And it's, whoops. I'm sorry I keep doing that. I meant to hit this one. I'm going to drop that out and load this back up. No. Init class on some unknown. Okay, I think we're past that part. Now we should be getting the error, or if the tracking is working, then the error should have shown up in our error page, error log right here. So let's see what we're getting here. We'll just look for the latest. Ah, there we go. Assumed. Oh. I used a constant that isn't defined within that code because I never ran their plugin code. I never enabled their plugin. Okay. That I'll get to. That's going to be a little bit more challenging because I'm going to need the way to pull pieces of that. That's going to be a challenge. See, what I'm trying to do is just for the connect part, I only need to run pieces of it. But if they set a variable that's global, it should be able to be used. In this particular case, I'm not going to use that global variable because it should allow us to get past it. Instead of this multiplayer prefix, we're just for now, I'm going to copy from multiplayer, and just to do it, I'm going to take this. Define that as that. Copy that. You know, there's even an easier way. I'm just going to, for the moment, I'm going to use the full name of the table. I have to get that variable in there for their prefix. That's what's happening right now. So if I use WTW underscore multiplayer underscore in front of the table names, then basically okay. So we're going to define right here, just to do it, right, helps if I open the right page. Right here, I'm just going to say for now, I'm just going to go define this, comma, and for now we're going to call it WalkTheWeb underscore multiplayer underscore. That will get us the correct table name and make that function work. I'm going to worry about how to get those into the table afterwards. And now if I run this code, yes, we got the update date, which means the page worked, which means we just brought this in under connect. We were able to redirect it, mask it, coming in on the red table. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, challenge accepted, defeated, and boom, we did it. Yay. Okay, so now what we have here is, if I look in the table, this table here, and we select the table, oh, we didn't get it in here. How funny. I'm celebrating one step too soon. I have to check the values. We got the page to work, which means that it was able to get this far. But what's going to happen is this. First of all, it's not going to find anything in here. And then it's going to come in here, and because it's if it's not empty, it tries to do an update. So because it is empty, it's going to come down here and it's going to execute this. Oh, and I can tell you already, it didn't insert it because I didn't create this value. I'll give it 2 seconds. We'll give it a shot and see if this works for us. Oops, I don't want that slash there. And we're going to say this equals, and if I can do this off the top of my head, connect, get random string, and that's going to be 16 comma type 1. 16 characters type 1, that should give us an instance ID, and just for the heck of it, let's see, did we get that far? And if we refresh this, no, it didn't. Okay, there's a couple more possibilities because these values right here are numbers. If they didn't get passed in properly, then basically that wouldn't work. The other part is the values that come through here. Oh, I know what it is. The values that come through here are actually being read back. We have not deciphered the ones that are base 64, so we have to turn them into, we have to basically add decode or actually, base decode, isn't that? Let me try it that way. Base decode? No, that ain't it. Base decode 64, is it? Nah. Okay, let me go find it. Basically, every one of these lines are coming in encoded, and we need to decode. We're going to thank that guy for that. We're going to thank the guy for asking the right question. And then we'll, let's see, base decode. I know I've done this one 100 times. I decode. Okay, base 64 decode. I knew I had the right letters, including the 64, put them in the wrong order. So this will be base 64 underscore decode, and we have to do that to each one of these values because we encoded everything that came across the wire to here. I still will do my checks once it does this to make sure that we have numbers where we expect them and validate what comes across here to make sure that it's what it's supposed to be and that there's nothing extra added in there. But that's just part of cleaning up and checking this out. So, okay, so we have that in place. Let's give it a shot one more time. Come on, come on, come on. Go all the way. Go all the way. And there it is. That's what we had, the base 64. Woo! Okay, so that means we were able to write it back into here. We picked up our current domain. We know that it's a secure protocol. We know the size of the avatar. We know which avatar they chose. From that information, we have their instance, their IP, their user ID. We have all the basis, and now they are entered into the system that allows them to do multi-user, multiplayer functionality, and everything else. Yay! Okay, so that concludes at least one whole piece from start to finish on how we pull in these things and create that. We did a big step today. I don't know if you guys realize this. Yeah. First thing we did was we were able to take out and do fire off different scripts at different points in the code. That was the thing I was working on when I first came in today. And so we were able to assign different scripts of your JavaScript and go in there, and we have hooks for that now. The next piece is we've already done putting in hooks for the menus in the admin and the menu at the bottom of the page in the settings area. We have where you can create a menu item. We can create a full page item. We're just plowing right through these and creating all kinds of hooks and different things. We've separated the code for the multiplayer app. Excuse me. Yeah. So we've separated the code for the multiplayer app right out of the original code. So we've done that. We've isolated it. Then we threw in the code and we actually did things back with the... We were now able to finally take it and create something in your plugin directory underneath Connect, and we're able to actually bring it up as a redirected file as an alias of Connect. So that means as you create things in plugins and you drop them in your Connect folder, they will automatically work because I'm going to have the code go through and look for matches in your plugins of which ones you're running. Okay, so that also means we're going to have to be very careful how we name those because if duplicates show up, they're not going to work. So we'll have to play around with, we're going to have to rename the file in the Connect directory and make sure that it has your plugin name underneath as part of the naming scheme. Okay, that'll actually seal that part up and we won't have to worry about duplicates from one plugin to the next. But that was a complete part. We were able to write to the database. We were able to call by a connect URL. We were able to redirect the page properly. We were able to include the code of whatever you did on your Connect file. We got the Connect class to work. I still need to work on this piece here, and I'll still need to work on right now I have it including this page, but we're going to make something that deciphers each page that could possibly be used. I may still create I may still do a couple things. I may still actually create a path that can decipher. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of you just dropping them in there and it works. Then you don't have to create a separate hook telling it to use that file or anything. We'll see. I'll play around with that and see if that works best. And if not, we'll add a hook that lets you add a file into that particular functionality. Either way, we'll get that stuff in there and make it work. So, okay, that was a complete set. We've done all kinds of fun stuff today, and I want to thank everybody for watching me today. And okay, and also Abdul Coder. Yeah, by the way, I will check out that email that you sent me, and we can chat from that direction on. But definitely we can take the conversation offline over to there. And I want to thank everybody else for coming in here and joining me and hanging out and watching me code and hanging in there on every word I say because I'm so important, right? Just kidding. Okay, so... But for anybody that joined me, all the new watchers and everything else, I really appreciate you coming in and following me. Like I said, you guys get high priority over others when you need something, so it's a good place and position to be in. Thank you once again, and I hope you have a great day, and I will catch you on again soon.